This video is intended to give you an example or real life coding of the private and public access modifiers. So I've set up a class account, and this class account has a private variable, private instance variable by the name of name, very creative name there for name. Anyway, and I've created two public methods. One public method is called setName, which is receiving a string, obviously, of the account name. And then it's going to take the account name that this method receives, and it's going to give that instance variable that value. So this instance now has a name that has been provided by setName. And there's also a public getName method, which is going to go look into that bucket or that variable, that instant variable name, and pull, or that space in memory, and return to the caller that instance's account name. All right, so in this test application, account app, I've created a instance variable called account ACT1. And so let's see these private and public things in access modifiers in motion. So first of all, let's acknowledge the private access modifier. By being private, as the programmer, what I'm saying is that this variable name is only available to the account class. So in other words, if I were to try to access this variable from this account app class, which is a completely separate class, let's just try it. If I type in account1 and I put a period, you'll notice that there is not a name variable available to me. So in other words, if I type in name here and try, it doesn't exist. It's not even letting me. So see if it'll just, you can see the error, and the error is saying that account name is inaccessible due to its protection level. It's private. I don't have access to that. And so that's the purpose of name. But anything in this class, for example, if I were to call setName, let's try that. Let's see. So if I do account1 and I call the method setName, well, yes, setName is public. So it is available to anything outside of the account class that wants access to it. In other words, because this is public, I can utilize this method. So if I use setName, then I can look and see, well, account name, I need to put an account name, so I'm going to give it account name of Indy. It seems to be my primary example. Okay, so I'm allowed to use this method because it's public, and I meaning a class account app different than the class account. And so I've sent over a variable, I've sent over a string of Indy. So Indy is going to go into account name variable, and via my method then, my private, this account class has access to this variable. And so because I've called this method says, oh, I know how to get to that variable. And so by virtue of the public method, I am able to set the name. Okay, so let's try the getName. So now I cannot write line. Let's see if I try to write line account1.name. Again, it's private, so I can't get to this value from directly accessing the field name. I have to get to that value from the public method that was provided to me called getName. So if I do write line getName, well, that's valid, and that's a method, so I have to put the parentheses. So now, if I use this method name is public, so it's available to my account app.class. The value of whatever's stored in this private variable will be returned to this write line, and therefore I'll be able to print it now. And so let's just make sure that's working before we go on. Debug, start without debugging, and there it is. Okay, so that is working. So that is the difference between the private and the public. And so the question is, why and give me an example of writing a private method within this account class. Well, okay, this is a little contrived of an example, but it's just, I'm trying to keep it simple to demonstrate a point. Let's say that I wanted to, when I did get name, I wanted to present a different greeting based on whether or not the person has I want a more grandiose greeting for somebody who has a larger account balance. Let me just try and see if I can demonstrate what I'm getting at. So let's say I'm just going to create a private integer of this balance, and I'm just going to hard code a balance in for now just to demonstrate. Let's say they have 100,000 in their account. Well, we all want 100,000 in our account. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a private, let me just type it out, check status. Okay, let's just return a blank string for now so I don't have to have this error message. Okay, so my idea here is, or my purpose of demonstration is to show you that sometimes a method might be private to a class because only this class wants to do some evaluation or some testing or something within it that we don't want our outsiders to have access to. In other words, because this is private now, I cannot do account one dot and get to check status. It's not available to me. And what I might use with check status is something like this. Let's say that I'm just going to create a string. I'll call it greeting. So I'm just going to copy some code in for you so I don't have to spend valuable video time yapping or typing. Okay, so here the idea is if the balance is greater than 100,000, we're going to present a different greeting. So if they have 100,000 special offer for our premium members, otherwise we're going to give them just a welcome back greeting. So when we, again, we can't access that from here, but the idea was that, let me just type out my thoughts here. Name equals, and then check status. Check status is okay. All right, and so let's see, what kind of was I thinking here? Get name. I've kind of defeated the purpose of name. I guess I could do name plus equals, something like that. Okay, and so the idea here is, or what I'm trying to demonstrate, is that now when this method calls get name is going to come in here, and first it's going to run check status. And this is internal. Only the account has access to this check status method. So it can do something internally that my outside app doesn't have access to. And then by virtue of that, return to the calling app something that's appropriate. So a private method is something that might be used internally within this class and only available to this class. And so now if I run this, we should be getting, I guess I have to make this a little bit higher than 100,001. All right, and so the idea now is that I should be able to get different greetings based on the balance that I've hard-coded in. So let's try that. So now I'm getting Indie special offer for our premium members. And then again, internally, I want to return a different response. So let's say this was 100,000, which I had initially. And now if I run it, welcome back. So hopefully this is giving you a good demonstration of the fact that private is available only to this class. And you'll see examples of this in subsequent videos of why you would want to make these all private, but we're allowing access to our external users only through methods that we've provided or special access that we've provided, so they can't access our well, here's a good example. Why would I not want to why would I want to make this private and not available to my outside users? Well, here's a great example right here I wasn't even planning on. Let's say this was public, and now that it's public, my external class, my account app, can change the balance. So right now, Indy's saying, well, gee, I'm not a premium member, so I'm going to use this to write account 1.balance. I'm going to increase my balance, 100, 1, 2, 3, and now I get to be a premium member. Yay! Well, we might not want to let Indy have access, or whoever's using this account app that is accessing our class. We don't want them to have direct access to our balance. And so by making it private, now I'm making sure that I'm in control of their balance through maybe a public method. And we'll see examples of that as we go along. But this is why I would want, see, now I can't have access to, I can't change the balance from within this app. So private, available only to the account class or to the class within which it's declared, or public, which is now available to anybody utilizing my class.